President Trump is ramping up his anti-immigration efforts after an Afghan national was identified as the suspect in the shooting of two National Guardsmen near the White House. That suspect was granted asylum earlier this year by the Trump administration. But now the U.S. is halting all asylum decisions. The director of U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services says the pause will stay in place until, quote, we can ensure that every alien is vetted and screened to the maximum degree possible. Meanwhile, the State Department announced it has stopped issuing visas for travelers with Afghan passports. All of this after President Trump said he would, quote, permanently pause migration from all third world countries. Meanwhile, family and friends are honoring Sarah Beckstrom, the West Virginia National Guard member who died after that shooting. They held a vigil a short time ago in Webster Springs, West Virginia, near her old high school. Andrew Wolf, the other Guard member who was shot Wednesday, is still fighting for his life. Beckstrom's former boyfriend tells CNN she was a loving, caring person.
She was ecstatic, outgoing, a little more of a homebody though. She didn't really like messing with people, so she was happy with just being with family. She loved going hunting. Oh my gosh. Last hunting season, she was ecstatic to go out, and when she got her first buck, she was beyond excited. I was getting letters about it and pictures, and she couldn't explain how happy she was. She loved fishing. It was a huge passion, especially from her grandpa.
Janine Pirro, the prosecutor leading the shooting investigation, says the suspect will face a murder charge. Law enforcement officials tell CNN authorities have now interviewed those close to the suspect, including his spouse and 5 children. They said he suffered from post-traumatic stress disorder, which they said stemmed from the fighting he did in Afghanistan while working with the CIA. CNN's chief law enforcement intelligence analyst John Miller says because of that work, that suspect was well vetted.
In this case, you have an individual who had worked for the U.S. in a CIA-supported special military team and the Afghan military special forces. This was a team operating in Kandahar where Rahmanullah Lakhwani had been one of the soldiers that was used to target members, according to my sources, of the Taliban, of Al-Qaeda in Kandahar, the Haqqani network, a number of the places there. So we had an awful lot of information about him. Vetting was not going to be the problem.
Sean Van Diver is the founder and president of #AfghanEvac, a nonprofit that has helped to relocate and resettle nearly 200,000 Afghan vets. Sean, thanks for joining us, and thanks for your service to our country.
Thank you so much, Alex, for having me on today.
So your reaction to the late breaking news, Secretary Rubio essentially trying to end the Afghan special immigration visa program?
Listen, this is what we've seen the Trump administration do in the first Trump administration and what they're trying to do with this administration. On day one, they shut down an ongoing relocation. My group, AfghanEvac, and our coalition of more than 250 organizations at any given time, worked with the Biden administration to build the single safest, most secure legal immigration pathway in our country's history. We called it Enduring Welcome, and it was getting 5,000 Afghans a month here safely and securely through the SIV and the refugee pathways. And on day one, President Trump shut all of that down. And every month since, there's been a new roadblock in their way. They've trapped American family members, the families of American service members in Doha and in Afghanistan and Pakistan and around the world. So this is unsurprising, but terrifying and awful. And we hope that Congress will exert their power and the courts will exert their power, because both have told the Trump administration before that you can't stop the SIV program. We hope that will hold.
What do you think went wrong here?
Look, if you want my honest opinion, I think that President Trump defunded the domestic programs that are supposed to keep us safe, programs that are supposed to detect lone wolves and people that are having a hard time mentally. We know that this guy got vetted by both the Trump and the Biden administrations. We know he applied for SIV and asylum under the Biden administration and was approved for both. Then we know that he would have been vetted before he left Afghanistan, before he got here, when he got here, the whole time he was here, and at each point in that application process. So I don't know that a vetting thing broke. I think that the issue is our domestic security apparatus has been deconstructed both by Doge and then by this asinine effort to pull political stunts at Home Depot and at immigration courts, and by pulling teachers out of classrooms.
I mean, that's a big accusation that you're making against him. I mean, is it also possible, as they're saying, that this individual just had post-traumatic stress from a stressful situation with the CIA in Afghanistan? It had nothing to do with President Trump.
Absolutely. But people have post-traumatic stress all the time. And what we see routinely is that these things get thwarted because of that domestic security apparatus, the post 9/11 domestic security apparatus that was funded by the federal government through state and local grants. 69 to 79% of that funding to blue states has been totally cut. And the president has been playing political games with this. So we don't know. And the Trump administration isn't being very forthcoming. We had to break the news about his asylum being approved by him and the chief of mission being approved. We just think that we should be doing everything that we can do to protect our national security, and playing games with that is not acceptable.
You work with leaders in both parties in Congress often. Many of them have praised what you do. We want to put up on the screen a comment to CNN today from John Curtis, who's a Republican senator from Utah. This is what he had to say about this situation. It is a false narrative that you can't have rule of law and compassion. And I think that's what we should be striving for. Can you talk about what the value is of having these Afghans here, about why this program is so important and some of the work that they did that you think makes it so necessary to have them here?
I absolutely can. These folks stood by our troops. Look, I didn't serve in Afghanistan, but this fight is my fight because how we close out our longest war is the story of America, right? So look, these folks stood by our sailors, soldiers, airmen, and Marines in Afghanistan, in Iraq, and look, they saved our lives. They protected Americans. They took life in our name. In the case of these zero units, they went out and executed highly classified special forces missions and intelligence community missions. And we made a promise to them. We said, if you stand with us, we'll stand with you. And that's what Afghan EVAC's all about. That's why we work with Mr. Curtis and representatives and senators from both sides of the aisle. We know that this group of people has bipartisan support, and we hope that holds. We've seen extraordinary things, extraordinary results from when Republicans and Democrats come together to support these folks, including in the last Congress when we got 12,000 additional SIVs approved, thanks to Speaker Mike Johnson and the rest of the congressional leadership.
And the overwhelming majority of these people have not been problematic in any way and have been good citizens. And that's an important thing to point out as well. Sean, thank you very much. Appreciate you joining us from San Diego live tonight.
Thank you so much, Alex. See you soon.